There's a box on a piece of paper. Inside the box, I don't deserve. Asking for what you want is not a possibility inside this box. Getting things and feeling excited and happy is not a possibility inside the box. I don't deserve. Okay? Sabotaging yourself, possibility, right?
Sure. Yep.
Feeling a lot of guilt, possibility.
Yeah.
So when I get rid of the belief or the box, I don't deserve, all these things become possible, but I still can choose them or not choose them. I'm still the chooser.
Hey, Soul Family. Welcome to the Alive and Awake podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kay, and I have spent the last 20 years teaching people how to work with their wounds and overcome their greatest fears so they can learn how to thrive in a world where they were only taught to conform. Each week, we will dive deep into the practical, the spiritual, and the mystical so I can teach you how to do the inner work to know yourself, trust yourself, and eventually love yourself enough to create a world where you feel fully alive, awake, and free. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode. Ready? Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I am beyond excited to meet with Shelly Lefkoe, who is the co-founder of the Lefkoe Institute. She is a pioneer at helping people break through limiting beliefs in a really rapid way. So much so that her approach has been published in the Clinical Psychology and Psychotherapy Journal. And she is now helping thousands and thousands of people really just make breakthroughs in their life, in their career, in their mind, and in their lives, and has a #1 best-selling book, Hitting the Wall: How to Break Free from Limiting Beliefs That Sabotage You in Your Business and in Your Life. Welcome to the show, Shelly. I am so excited to have you.
Oh, thanks, Alicia. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yay. So tell us a little bit about how you got into this. Like, what is your background and how did this approach come to you? How did you get into this work?
So my late husband and I were both very into personal growth, and he was on what he called a spiritual intellectual journey to discover why people knew what to do and didn't do it, and knew what not to do and did it. So we all know if we eat well and exercise, we will live a better quality of life. And a lot of us don't do it. Many times we know going into a relationship that we shouldn't go in. We see red flags and we go in anyway. So we know we shouldn't yell at our kids and we yell at them. So very, very often we really do know what not to do. We know what to do and we do or don't do it. So he was on a plane going to California, and we were living in the New York at the time. We now live here and in California. And he was journaling and journaling and writing. By the time he got to California, he had created this process based on a philosophy that 35 years ago, nobody understood. And it was, today, everybody knows it's true.
Sure.
And the philosophy was that it's our beliefs about ourselves and life, most of which are unconscious. We don't even know that we have these beliefs, but they totally determine our behavior, our emotions, and ultimately our reality. So you can do 20 years of personal growth work and you can learn how to cope with your life better, which is what good therapy teaches you how to do. We eliminate the beliefs so that there's nothing to cope with.
Yeah.
So he comes home from California and he says, I got to show you. And my husband was very humble.
Mm.
Had a lot of humility and a lot of integrity. And so he said, I have to show you what came through me. So I said, okay. So he sat down with someone who had relationship issues. And she kept saying, I really want to get married again. And it was his ex-wife. She said, I really want to get married again. She said, but I keep not. And he said, well, what do you believe about marriage? And out of her mouth, Alicia, came, uh, marriage is suffocating. You have to give yourself, you have to give up your whole self, and she started sprouting these beliefs. And she says, and I'm not meeting good men. And he says, well, what do you believe about men? And she says, men are selfish and men,
Mm.
are assholes and men are whatever. And he picked one belief and he walked through the process and eliminated the belief. I must have told the story 12 billion times and I still cry when I tell it. And I watched him do it. And I swear to God, it was like spirit whacked me upside the head. And I heard this voice say, this is what you were put on this planet to do.
Mm.
And it was one of the most extraordinary experiences I've ever had because it was like, oh.
I
And
love
I've
it.
been doing it for 35 years. And
I love it.
I
I
feel
say,
blessed.
and
Yeah.
it just reminds me of, I say all the time to my clients, to my audience, is that, you know, I didn't search for my purpose. It found me.
Mhm.
It,
Totally.
it was just a journey. And
Totally.
now it just has been unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And I love that you had that connection to know and hear that voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful story. And now you're
Oh.
just helping thousands.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
we train therapists, we train coaches, we train people who want to change lives. Yeah, we have courses, we have programs. Yeah, it's very, very, very thrilling. Yeah.
Wow. And that's it, right? It was just as simple as this is what you're put on this earth to do.
Yeah.
Now let's co-create it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so cool is when I started doing it, Alicia, 35 years ago, I had to have in-person clients. And I have one client who I stay in touch with on Facebook. Uh, and she used to drive 2 hours each way and eat macaroni and cheese so that she could work with me. And she invited me to her. She met a man named Lance, and he looks like a Lance. He was gorgeous. And she wanted to meet a man and she wanted to find a career that she loved. And she did both. And
Uh-huh.
now she has 4 kids, I think all of whom have either graduated college or are in college.
Oh my
And she
God.
was single when she came to me. So, people used to come in person. And then when the internet happened, I have clients in Saudi Arabia, which
Yeah.
blows my socks off.
I love it. It's,
Yeah.
we keep ourselves in the box until we are forced to expand out of it. Like, what do you
It's
mean I have
great.
to do this work in person?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
So I want to talk for a second. I want to make a distinction because
Okay.
very few people understand this distinction, and it's very important. So a pattern is something you want to change,
Mm.
right? And you can observe a pattern. There's behavioral patterns and emotional patterns,
Yep.
and then there's reality patterns, but we're not going to talk so much about that. Behavioral patterns. I procrastinate. I don't speak up for myself. I have a fear of public speaking. Well,
Mhm.
that's kind of emotional, but behavioral patterns are I do something I don't want to do, or I don't do something I want to do. I emotionally eat. Those are behavioral patterns, and you can observe that. Emotional patterns are I have depression or I'm anxious all the time. I can observe you being anxious, right? Like you could see somebody being anxious. Beliefs are a statement about reality that we hold to be the truth.
Sure.
So beliefs underlie patterns. And I always say, I'm a results girl. When you get rid of the beliefs, the patterns disappear. Okay. So fear of public speaking, it's the only pattern that is the same beliefs for every client in every walk of life in every country. So you get rid of the 11 beliefs and conditionings, which I'll explain, and your fear of public speaking will be gone. Period. End of story. So that's because sometimes people talk about patterns and beliefs, and I notice they use the words interchangeably, and they're different. You cannot observe a belief, which is what makes our process so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because in the framework that I work in, it's the belief is formed from an emotional wound that you essentially can't make sense of or process or digest or understand from a younger developed brain. And so, therefore, the brain has to develop the belief in order to try to understand what's going on environmentally or in the body. And then that belief, because it is not rooted in like love, safety, connection, trust, love, faith, the essentially it's almost like your psyche creates the pattern in order to confront the belief that is not resonant with the
Yeah.
soul.
So that's your work. It's
Yeah.
definitely, mine's different. It's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
different.
Tell me how you
Yeah.
explain it.
So there may be a lot of psychology behind things, but I'm a very simple girl.
Okay.
So if
I love it.
you believe,
Perfect.
yeah, if you believe water is boiling hot, you will not put your hand in it.
Yeah.
If you believe people can't be trusted, you will not trust people. It's really simple.
Sure.
So when you come
Sure.
into this world, I always say you come in as a little ball of consciousness, right? And you don't know if you're good enough or not good enough. You don't know if life is hard or easy. And as you said very accurately, kids ask, why?
Yeah.
Why are my parents struggling to pay the bills? I guess money is scarce and hard to get.
Mm.
Why can't I live up to my parents' expectations? I guess I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how beliefs get formed. Now, here's how I see things. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this, and then I'll go back.
Okay.
So let's assume you and I were talking, and somebody walks by that you believe doesn't like you.
Mm.
And they say to you, and they walk by and don't say hello. Wouldn't you say to me, see, Shell, I told you they don't like me, right?
Most people, yes. Yeah. Yeah. I would agree that most people live in that state of reality.
Well, no, I'm not talking about a state of reality, right? Remember, I'm a simple girl.
Okay.
You think somebody doesn't like you. They walk by and they don't say hello. Wouldn't it seem like you could see they don't like me? Like you see that,
Yeah, sure.
right? That's how beliefs live for us. I worked with 5 Harvard PhDs who had the belief I'm stupid.
Yeah, I believe
One of
it.
them told me I conned my way through Harvard.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I believe it.
So here's what happened. When he was a child, every time he screwed up, his father would slap him on the back of the head and say, genius. So when I said to him, doesn't it seem like now there's a whole process of, bunch of steps. But when I say to them, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm stupid? He said, every day of my life.
Mm,
Now, it is impossible to not believe something you think you saw.
sure.
So I say, anything you could see, if you're listening to this, I'm holding up my water bottle. Anything you could see has a color, shape, and location. You cannot see, I'm stupid. What you can see is your father smacking you on the head, calling you genius. You
Got
could
it.
see your parents struggling, but you can't see money is scarce and hard to get.
Mm.
So when you're 8 years old, you go, wait a minute, that's not Santa Claus. That's my dad. I remember when my niece was the last of the 5 kids, the cousins,
Yeah.
to get that her father was Santa Claus. And she used to scream every time Santa Claus would come into the room. And one year he comes in and he was very funny. Alicia, he used to wear sandals because we were in Florida at my brother's. And he would say this is his Florida outfit. And so he starts going, ho, 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 ho. And all of a sudden, my niece, who's sitting on my cousin's lap, looks and she screams, Dad! And that was it. The game was over. She no
Oh,
longer
yeah, yeah,
believed
yeah.
in Santa Claus.
Sure. That's, yeah.
The minute you get, I never saw Santa Claus, I made that up,
Yeah.
it's gone. And so that's how our beliefs go away.
Love
And
it.
underlying every pattern are these beliefs.
I love
And
it.
and the most common 5 beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm not important,
Mhm.
mistakes and failures are bad. And I don't care if you've read every business book on the shelf, it doesn't get rid of the belief. And I know that from experience.
Sure.
I could have taught a course on it until I got rid of the belief, didn't matter. If I make a mistake or fail, I'll be rejected.
Mm.
And what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I believe it. And it's how are you going to think anything else in the environments that we grew up in? It's impossible to escape having a core wound. Go ahead. Say it. Say it. I see you cringing. Go ahead.
You could call it that. That's okay. I
Okay.
have you have a core belief.
Okay.
So a wound is like I a wound's heal. So I don't have that big a problem with it.
Okay.
I've heard some psychological terms that I have a problem with. But when you think of it like when people talk about an inner child, there's no inner child. If I open you up, there's no inner child. There's a voice in your head, and the
Mm.
voice talks to you all day long. And your emotions come from the meaning you give events. And the meaning you give events mostly comes from your beliefs. So if you believe men are not count onable or, men or whatever, you have all these terrible men beliefs, and you're on a dating site and a guy doesn't answer you right away, the meaning you're going to give it is, I knew it. I knew you can't count on a man, or he's not going to call, or he just doesn't care, or he's selfish like the rest of them. So the meaning you give events cause your emotions,
Mm.
right? And that's a whole nother conversation of how to get
Sure.
rid of emotions. But people believe they're feeling, but I felt it. Yeah, but the feeling didn't come from reality. The feeling came from the meaning you gave reality. And I guess why I'm teaching this in a podcast, because I don't want to complicate beliefs and meaning. Beliefs get formed in the past, meaning gets formed in the moment. And we have a course that teaches how to get rid of your negative emotions that you don't want. The only reason I cringe, I don't want people to think there's permanence
Mm.
in suffering. That's all. That if they have wounds, like Oh, here's the other thing. A core wound sounds to me like it comes from the events. You can't change the events. But if you I work with incest survivors, as I'm sure you do,
Yeah.
sexual abuse survivors, right? If you walked away from that, if one walks away from sexual abuse saying, oh my God, that was the worst. Yuck. I'm going to build a healthy life and find healthy, successful people. You would not be damaged. What happens to you doesn't screw you up. What you conclude about it does. I'm damaged goods. I'm worthless. I'm powerless. Men have all the power. No one would ever want me. Oh, I'm worthless.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's screwing you up. And not screw like you're screwed up, but that's what's causing the pain and suffering, not what happened to you, because what happened to you isn't happening to you anymore. So it was horrible while it was happening, but the minute you walked away, it has no impact.
So what do you say about, I'm sure you know Bessel van der Kolk and the body keeps the score. What do you say about the feelings and sensations that are imprinted onto the nervous system that keeps that belief playing out?
I don't.
Okay. Tell me more.
Okay. And again, my work is my
Yeah,
work.
I'm curious because
Yeah,
there's lots
because
of, this is fascinating to me, right?
yes, I know.
Yeah, tell me more.
Okay. So I don't have your background, right? So I don't want to touch what you know, but I will say this. When the beliefs go away, so I worked with a psychiatrist whose mother used to incest him, beat him, and lock him in a closet every day while she went to church. You
Yeah,
can't make that shit up, right?
sure, sure.
When
Yeah,
yeah,
it's deep work. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. When he got rid of the beliefs, Alicia, not only did he never have a healthy relationship with a woman,
Mm,
met a woman, he got married, but he said to me, so at the end of my process, I ask a question. What does it mean that what happened to you happened to you?
mm,
Now, meaning is in your mind.
yeah,
It's not in events.
sure.
My husband died. That was devastating. It mattered to me. There were consequences, but it doesn't mean I'll be alone for the rest of my life. I'm never going to be happy again. I'm going to starve to death because I did not know how 9 years ago to run a business
Mm,
at all, nor was it anything I ever wanted to do.
yeah,
So I said, oh my God, I'm going to starve to death. That meaning was in my mind. It wasn't in the events, right? So when I said to this man, he got rid of damaged goods, all the beliefs that I said. And I said, what does it mean? Another way of saying that is, what do I know for sure because that happened to you? And when he said nothing,
mm.
it has no inherent meaning. Doesn't mean I can't, doesn't mean all women or he had beliefs about women that would be
Oh, I
terrifying.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that. He said, Shelly, in that moment, I was free in a way that I never dreamt possible. So he met a woman, he married her, and he lived happily ever after. So imprint, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, maybe,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem to be relevant in the work that I do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I can say about it.
No, it's interesting to me because I definitely haven't, I don't want to say inherited through training, right?
Yeah.
It's and I've done lots and lots and lots of EMDR where you go in and you work through the memory and you change the belief and you clear out the emotions out of the body, through eye movements and bilateral stimulation and this process. But I've always felt like there is another way, and maybe not as an invasive way. And that is the truth, right? Essentially, you're helping someone change the way or what they believe about themselves or about the situation so that a new higher level of consciousness can come in and take root.
Yeah, but again, that's probably accurate, but I'm going to go back to my simple way.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I have a messy desk. It keeps me from putting things, knowing where things are, this, right? So I
Yeah.
want to, so I take off my water bottle, I take off my lipstick, I take off my phone and my glasses. Oh, look at all the space I have right here. But I still have a messy desk. But when I take every belief, everything off my desk, I have a clean desk.
Mm,
Now I have a choice. I can put things down. I cannot put things down. I can have clutter. I cannot have clutter, but I have a choice.
got it.
And what we do is, so on the back of every pad in my house. So I'm showing, for those of you who are listening, there's a box on a piece of paper. Inside the box, I don't deserve, asking for what you want is not a possibility inside this box. Getting things and feeling excited and happy is not a possibility inside the box I don't deserve. Okay? Sabotaging yourself, possibility, right?
Sure. Yep. Yep.
Feeling a lot of guilt, possibility.
Yeah.
So when I get rid of the belief or the box, I don't deserve, all these things become possible, but I still can choose them or not choose them. I'm still the chooser. And
Yes.
that's why we don't create new beliefs, because who you are, I get excited, who you really are is the belief creator.
Mm.
So at the end of the process, we do something where I have people close their eyes and I say, where did the beliefs that we just eliminated come from? And everybody says, me, I made them up. Oh, so you were here before your beliefs were. Yes. Notice your life is consistent with your beliefs. If you believe life is hard, I guarantee you're going to have a hard life, right?
Sure. Sure.
If you believe money is scarce, if I said to you, Bill Gates has the belief money is scarce and hard to get, would you believe me?
From the outward, no.
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 And we don't know Bill Gates, but
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
know he doesn't have that belief, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. If if I said to you, Steve Jobs has the belief you have to do things very carefully, just like everybody else, you'd say,
No.
not a shot. Steve Jobs did not have that belief. And we don't know Steve Jobs, but our lives are consistent with our beliefs. So if you create your beliefs and your beliefs create your life, what does that make you?
Well, the creator,
Of,
your life.
and in that space, what's possible? Anything. What limitations do you have in that space? None. You come into this world as a little ball of consciousness. And before you create any distinctions about yourself, life, or people, do any exist?
No, I mean, we could get into past lives and karma and all that fun stuff, but I
Not
essentially
my
no.
real
When you
house.
come in, no, no.
No, that's right. Because whatever your karma, whatever your past lives, blah, 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 you still got to bring it into this world.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So before you create any distinctions, they don't exist.
Right.
That's who you are. Who you are is the ball of consciousness that creates the distinctions, create the distinctions that create your life. So instead of creating new beliefs, we leave you there because guess what? I'd rather be the creator of my life because I'm not important or not important. Now, of course, there are certain beliefs I have that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I have the belief everything works out for me. Perfect example. Somehow this wasn't on my calendar, right?
Yeah.
It worked out.
Always.
Always,
Always.
always. I was on Mark Hyman's podcast. This is a great story. And he's a client and a friend. And his podcast is in the top 0.1% of podcasts. So it's a very big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, 20, but he says 100 million downloads or something. And at the end of the podcast, he texts me. He was traveling, so he wasn't in his studio. And he goes, I think I didn't press the button record. And I
Oh,
just went, he shared about our sessions, which,
wow.
like, I mean, seriously shared. It could not have been better, right?
Yeah.
And so I used the occurring and I said, okay, what happened? Mark said he didn't think he hit record. What meaning does that have? Well, it could mean he's wrong, and it could mean that he did, and it could mean that it'll be better next time. But the fact that he just said that doesn't have any meaning, right? Now, I have the belief everything works out. So I get into, this is true, the occurring course where we teach how to do this. And I get a text from him right before the end of the course saying, I got it all.
Oh, isn't it interesting when you have that? I guess I personally like to say trust in yourself. And when you have that, it's amazing how things just keep working out in your favor. It's almost like a new level opens up that you tap into.
Yeah.
And that there's a prime example. I was actually at a friend's house the other day and I was complaining that like Zoom doesn't seem to have great quality when you record. And so the videos don't come out that great when I'm doing like a solo cast. It seems to be better when I'm, with a guest. And it just so happens that her husband is like head of tech at one of the car dealerships in the area. And he sends me this message like the next day and says, "You're not going to believe this, but someone just came up to me and said, 'Hey, I have this brand new webcam. I don't need it. Do you want it?'" And he's like, "I think this was
Perfect.
meant for you." And I'm like,
Perfect.
"Of course it was meant for me."
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
great.
that simple. Yes, and you're right. When you get over the belief that I'm not enough, I'm never going to have enough, things don't work out for me, it becomes a self-perpetuating prophecy
Yeah.
because if that's what you believe, that's what you get.
That's
So
right.
I'm interested, how do you, with your approach or your method, bring someone to the other side of that? Because it's almost as if, in my experience, some people just don't believe that that's true,
What's that?
that they're the creator of their reality, that their beliefs
Yeah.
create the outcome.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't care if they believe that or not.
Okay.
I
Love
actually
that.
don't.
Yeah.
So let's assume somebody comes to me and says, I want to work on, I don't speak up for myself. I
Mm.
say, okay, great. What do you believe? They say, I have no idea. I say, okay, great. Now, I've been doing this for 35
Sure.
years.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, I'm going to give everybody access to Eliminate a Belief for free. And we have a product called Natural Confidence that has 19 self-esteem beliefs that you can interact with on video.
Love
So,
it.
and it's very inexpensive, and we make it available because we want people to get rid of your self-esteem beliefs.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So they have the belief, and I said, well, when you think about speaking up for yourself, what thoughts and feelings do you have? So everybody listening, you can do this, is when you think about if you're a procrastinator, right before you procrastinate, what's your thought, right? So they'll say, well, speaking up is dangerous. Oh, great. Speaking up is dangerous. And then I'll get a few more beliefs, but let's start with that one. And then I take them through the process and I say, well, you weren't born with that belief. When was your earliest memories of discovering that? And they say, and then another belief is if I speak up, I'll be rejected,
Yeah.
right? So if speaking up is dangerous, where did you discover that? Well, when I talk back to my father, when I was a kid, I got hit, I got screamed at, I got put in my room. I had just had a client who got locked in his room, stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is why I created a parenting course.
Love it. So good. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So, okay, so where did it come from? My father screamed, hit me, punished me okay, good. So so it made sense to conclude speaking up is dangerous. Okay? What's another interpretation? So we look at the video of her childhood and we say, well, one interpretation is speaking up is dangerous. Okay. Another way to interpret the events, can you give me one? So we're looking at a video. I see a little girl speaking up and her father smacks her. Let's keep it simple, right?
Okay.
And one way of interpreting those events is speaking up is dangerous.
Yeah.
Another interpretation is speaking up as a child is dangerous, not as an adult. Another interpretation is speaking up to my father is dangerous. Maybe Auntie Shelly wouldn't care if I spoke up to her.
Got
Okay.
it. Yeah. Yeah. So bringing
Another,
in the adult perspective, not
yeah,
seeing it through the child's eyes.
right. We're just playing a game.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That makes
And
sense.
somebody else says, well, that's not what I see. What I see is speaking up is dangerous when you can't protect yourself.
Yeah.
You had a gun in your hand, it might not have been dangerous, right?
Sure.
So if there are other valid interpretations, speaking up against violent people is dangerous. So if there are other valid interpretations, is the one that you chose the truth or simply one interpretation?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's one interpretation. Now, doesn't it seem like as a child you saw speaking up is dangerous? And everybody pretty much, except the few people who say, well, I felt it, and I'll get to that in a minute. But most people say, I did see it. And I say, look again. Remember, anything you could see has a color, shape, and location. Did you ever see speaking up is dangerous? And they say, well, no, you can't see that. Well, what did you see? I saw when I spoke up to my father when I was a kid, I got hit or punished or whatever, or screamed at.
Yeah.
That is seeable. But where was speaking up is dangerous.
Yeah. That's the belief that was created.
That's in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Where that was in your mind. You made that up. And as you said earlier, any kid would make that up in those circumstances, which is why I'm busy all day. And you're busy all day. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Now, they go, oh my God, I made that up. I never saw that. That was never true. The belief goes away, never comes back. Okay. Just like Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny.
Interesting. So you don't feel like, well,
Wait, let
Not
me
that you
finish.
implant the truth, but
No, let me finish.
go ahead.
'Cause
Oh, got it. I'm jumping
hold
ahead.
hold that thought. Here's the final piece.
Okay.
So they go, I never saw it. I made it up. And their face lights up and it's like, oh my God. And then I say, doesn't it seem like the events, what happened, made you feel like it was dangerous to speak up?
Mm.
And everybody says, they did make me feel that way. Then I go through the events have no meaning, right? Meaning is in your mind. Meaning is in your mind. Meaning is in your
Yes.
mind. It is not in events. We don't know anything for sure because something happens. That's what no meaning implies. We don't know anything for sure because anything happens, not Hitler, not 9/11, not the Holocaust, nothing. Okay, now, doesn't it seem like the events made you feel that way? Can events that have no meaning, sorry, I ask them, what does it mean that that happened? And I get them to see the events have no meaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody abused you sexually doesn't mean all men are perverts, right?
Sure.
Doesn't mean men can't be trusted. The events have no meaning, they just happen, okay? So what does it mean that you got smacked every time you spoke up as a kid? It has no meaning. Can events that have no meaning make you feel anything? And the answer is no. If you're walking down the street and a man walks past you and it has no meaning, what are you going to feel?
Nothing if it has no meaning.
Good. If you give it the meaning he's dangerous, what will you feel?
Fear.
If you give it the meaning he'll protect me, what will you feel?
Safe.
Perfect. So events that have no meaning can't make you feel anything. So what made you feel like it's not safe to speak up or speaking up is dangerous? The meaning I gave the events.
Mm.
Now I have them close their eyes and I say, imagine you're a kid and Auntie Shelly is there. And I said, sweetie, when you grow up, you'll be around healthy, functional people who don't hit. You'll be a big person. It will be perfectly safe to speak up when you're a kid, when you're an adult, just not around your dad. And you said, oh, I see, Auntie Shelley. It's dangerous to speak up as a kid, but when I grow up, watch out, world.
Yeah.
If you gave the same events that meaning, would you have ever have had the feeling speaking up is dangerous?
Well, no,
Say
because it's
no.
corrective.
That's right. And if I didn't have that feeling then, I wouldn't, excuse me, have that feeling now.
Mm.
And then I say, where did the beliefs that you eliminated in this session come from? I made them up. Oh, is your life consistent with them? Yes. So if you create your beliefs and your beliefs create your life, what does that make you? And they go, the creator of my life.
Mm.
Oh, and I just put them into that space because it's not the truth. It's not my good idea.
Yeah,
It's makes sense.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they don't have to believe anything. They don't have to buy in. They don't have to anything. They just have to be willing to do the process and they have to be cognitive. They have
Mm.
to be open. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of willingness for someone to challenge that because I find often, not often, I don't want to say often, there's a set of people who are so convinced that that belief is true that they start to pull all these other circumstances in to support that belief as evidence that this happened and this happened. No, no, no. Like it's almost like their egos pulling in all these
Yeah. So I would have stopped that.
experiences.
Yeah. So I stopped that about 15 seconds in.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because you're like, no, no, no. Like you just bring it
Nope.
right back to the core
Nope, nope,
event.
nope, nope. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
do the process. And I tell people, I have a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
I'm a results girl. You want to
Mm.
come to me, you're going to have results. But you want to talk, go to therapy.
I love that. Yeah.
And I've told people that. First I say it really, really sweet and loving and okay, I don't need all the info, I don't need all the story, I just tell me this and then we'll just go. I want to eliminate as many beliefs as possible in a session, right?
Love
So,
it.
you know, so I say, okay, no, that's enough. And then the third time you want to talk, go to therapy. It's a great place to go. If what you
Oh, it's
want to
so
do
good.
is talk, knock yourself out.
Yeah, which is why I'm not doing therapy anymore, planning to be done with that. I'm done. I don't want the stories anymore. I don't want to just hold space. Like I want results. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's
Yeah.
really powerful when you can see the shift in someone, because then like this whole new world opens up and they just start making different choices, different, like you said,
Yes.
beliefs.
Yes, ma'am.
It's
Yes, ma'am.
wonderful.
I have therapists who say to me, oh, we train. I had one call me up crying. She said, Shelly, I'm making a difference. And again, I'm
Oh,
not saying therapists don't make a difference. They do.
yes.
People's lives improve and get better. I am not knocking therapy.
Yeah,
I just have something different. That's all.
absolutely. Yeah, it's beautiful. Like the work that you're doing, I love that it was divinely orchestrated for you to, fulfill this purpose.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're teaching it's almost like a rapid transformation way is coming to my mind of how quickly you can cut through the stories. I wanted to say BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but to people, it's very real, and to them, it
Oh,
causes a lot of pain. So
oh, let me tell you,
it's not BS.
when I said I'm a simple girl, you know, I was very, very, very blessed. I had a wonderful mother. She was an angel. And my dad loved me. He said all the stupid things fathers say, but he loved me. And my mother only wanted me to be included, invited, and popular. That was
Mm,
the most important thing to her, is that everybody loved me. And so I had the belief, as most people do, what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me. And
mm.
so I'd walk away from every conversation going, oh, did I ask about her father? Or did I say the right thing? Or did I wear the right thing? Or everybody was wearing jeans and I was, yeah, and this like, blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, oh God, they didn't invite me to the party. Oh, 2 days would be
Yes.
just ruined. And when I got rid of the belief, what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me.
Mm.
I became, in that moment, my authentic self.
I was going to say free.
Free,
Free.
free. I mean, when you said to me, just now, so we had a little mix up.
Yeah.
Somehow it didn't get on my calendar. And I had a client that I was able to move. And you said to me, well, let's do it. And I swear to God, Alicia, I looked at myself and I went, yeah, okay. All right. In the past, it would have been, oh my God, what will people think? I'm not dressed up and then I'm wearing blue. I should be wearing red. And none of that. None of that. I spoke in front of 600 people in Croatia. I dropped my scarf. I don't remember what else happened. It was just like, you know, it's
uh,
it
it
just is.
is. It's
Yeah.
there is so much value in feeling free from the constraints that we put on ourselves. And I love that you're teaching people that they do it to themselves from the beliefs that they have.
Yeah.
It really is that simple. I love your simple strategy. I'm going
Yeah.
to steal some of your language. I'm going to be
Oh,
honest.
good. You are training in
Yeah.
February.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested. This is
A
this is
great tool to have
fun.
on your tool belt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's what coaching is for me, really to break through the mindset. It's whatever you are saying to yourself is what you're attracting to yourself.
I want to tell you one last story because this is so
Okay.
good. Because you just said it's fun. So I had a client named Carol, and she suffered, she had a lot of issues, but one of hers was clinical depression.
Mm.
And we were in a session once, and she said something about having a malaise. And I thought she said that the depression was in her legs, in my legs. And for some reason, we laughed. I swear to God, I think we laughed for the entire session. We just couldn't stop laughing. And then we did the process at the end and we got rid of the belief. And this woman's depression, not from this one session, but
Yeah, yeah.
her depression is gone, gone for years. I mean, we still also keep in touch for years. And the best part of this story, which I never tell, is when I first started working with her, we were on the phone and I started doing sessions on the phone. God, I can't even imagine that. And I said to her, send me a picture of you. And she sends me this picture, Alicia. She's like nerdy with these big glasses and these horrible haircut. And I looked at her and I said, that cannot be my Carol. And she's giving us testimonials on that, even though I'm only using her first name. And I look at this picture, I said, this just can't be.
Mm.
Couple of months later, my daughter is in a swim meet in DC, which is near where she lived in University of Maryland. And she lived in that area. And I said, oh my God, let's meet for lunch. Because at this point we had just become close.
Sure.
And we we go to meet for lunch and she walks into the restaurant and I look at her and then she comes over to me and she goes, Shelly, it's Carol. And I look at her. She's got this fabulous haircut, brand new gorgeous glasses. She's wearing this outfit. She went to Nordstrom's and had a makeover after one of our sessions.
Oh, I love
It
it.
was so awesome. And she met a man and she got
Oh,
married and she's now retired. And
it is
yeah,
the best feeling to
oh,
see
the best.
someone grow into that version of themselves.
It was the best. The
It's
best.
so good.
Yeah, it was so
Oh,
yeah.
well, Shelly, this has really been an eye-opening experience for me. I love your stories, your energy, the work that you're doing. I will absolutely put the free Eliminate One Belief guide in the show notes.
Eliminatebeliefs.com. Yeah, eliminatebeliefs.com.
Eliminatebeliefs.com. Got
Yeah.
it. And then go to your website, the
Lefkoe
Lefkoe
Institute.
Institute, for all of the courses and programs that we talked about. And if you're really into it, go ahead and grab her number one selling book, Hitting the Wall: How to Stop Sabotaging in Life and Business. This is,
Close enough.
I know, right? I did get that wrong. I'm like, wait,
Eliminate.
as it's coming out of
Yeah,
my mouth, I
it's
know that
hitting
the
the
tagline
wall.
is not correct. Go ahead and
No,
say the
yeah.
tagline.
Eliminate the beliefs that sabotage your business and your life.
Got it. That sounds way more fluid.
Yeah.
I love it. And I am just really grateful to have you on. And I'm excited to get this work out into the world even more. So thank you
Thanks,
for all that you're
sweetheart.
doing. And I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. You're a wonderful interviewer. I forgot we were doing a podcast.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
yes. All right.
yeah, yeah.
See, you're already boosting my self-esteem. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for staying to the end of the episode, everyone. This was a really powerful episode. I have to say, after all of my years of training, I am still learning and really taking in that there are 1,000 ways out there for us to evolve in our consciousness and for us to grow as human beings. I love what Shelly says, and it sums it up so well, that we're the ones that created the belief. I like to say that we didn't have any other option when we're children, but as adults, we do. And she showed that so beautifully by the examples that she gave. So I highly encourage you to go into the show notes and go through her process to eliminate one belief. If you can eliminate one, you can do it for all of them, and you can start healing and clearing and getting rid of that dense energy that your mind, body, and soul doesn't want you to hold anymore. When you realize that you are the creator, that whatever you're feeling within you manifests outward, then you have the power to change it, because we are here to do that work and to become the highest version of ourselves that we can be, which is safe, love, expansive, trusting, abundant. Whatever you want and whatever you desire is yours if you believe that you can have it. And the only reason that you don't believe you can have it is because you haven't worked through the beliefs that you formed when you didn't have another option. But now you do. So please do the work, heal yourself, know yourself, trust yourself, and become all that you can be. Thank you for watching. I love you, and we'll see you on the next episode.